Tonight on KGW News.
We really believe that the president should follow the laws of our country.
With a judge set to rule on whether to allow National Guard troops to flow into Portland. Plus,
these radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility.
That's how the White House describes it, but the reality isn't that simple. As we break down who KGW has seen on the ground and overlooking the protests. And later, Friday Night Football returns for Week 5. With Orlando breaking down the very best of all the big games. Good evening, everyone. At First at 11, we're tracking developments around President Trump's order to deploy 200 National Guard troops to protect federal facilities in Portland. Well, following last night, there were arrests last night that included a conservative influencer that caught the attention of the White House and is now sparking a federal investigation. We are also awaiting a ruling from a federal judge set to decide whether to grant a temporary restraining order, pushing pause on the troop rollout. Once again, we have live team coverage, beginning with Alma McCarty live outside the South Portland ICE building. So, Alma, how's it looking there tonight?
Yeah, David, this is night 5 out here for us at the ICE facility. And I can tell you right now, some of the protesters tonight are, of course, vocal, but this small group is also interspersed with people who seem to be pro-ICE. Then, of course, there is their camp that is further down the block where things are relatively peaceful. And, of course, there are folks who are kind of interspersed with the media who is on this side of the road. You also have the onlookers. And really, throughout this entire week, including today, people here, whether protesting or observing, they shared a similar message. Any kind of troop deployment for this demonstration doesn't make a lot of sense. Black Hawk helicopters circle in the sky over South Portland. While on the ground, a small number of protesters wave signs ahead of the arrival of National Guard soldiers.
And I'm down here because I don't feel it's safe to put the National Guard troops on Oregon streets or American streets at all.
Some here as young as 11.
I'm out here because my parent is an immigrant, and I want to come out here and support and show that there should be peace in the world.
The protest, which has garnered national attention, still remains confined to these 4 corners by the ICE facility.
I think it's pointless. There's maybe 100 people out here every night just talking and yelling sometimes, listening to music, eating, having a good time. That's how it's been for 100 days now.
And that 100 people includes not just demonstrators, but journalists, security personnel, Portland police liaison officers, and a handful of right-wing influencers, often from out of town.
They do deserve to have a voice to be down here, and they do have a right to film and put their things out there. And I do agree with what they're doing, but I don't agree with how they're doing it.
One of these influencers, Nick Sortor, arrested and charged by Portland police for disorderly conduct. 2 others arrested on the same charges. Sortor's arrest outraging the White House.
The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest.
The amount of dissidence that's being expressed down there, not even directed at immigration or at the facility, but the amount of dissidence being expressed towards one another is at a fevered pitch. And that's where we need to start bringing the temperature down.
At times, conflict escalates between armed agents and protesters. Video from Thursday night captured the moment Leilani Payne was pepper sprayed in the eyes.
I weighed 95 pounds, and these are 4 guys on me. So I put my hands up and I said, I'm just standing here exactly where you asked me to. And then he maced me in the face for 3 seconds straight without warning.
And on Friday, agents tackled a protester to the ground, though the reason is unclear.
If you do come out here, just be safe, okay? You don't want to come out here and have to get taken away.
David, and again at this hour, the protest out here is not only relatively small, the mood is kind of light. There's in fact a gentleman here who is using bubbles. I spoke with him earlier this week and he told me he's doing this to really lighten the mood out here, but things are not feeling all that intense at this time. On Friday, we'll be sure to continue following the protests and this entire situation. For now, back to you.
Yeah, and interesting that Portland police were arresting people for blocking traffic this evening. I'm glad everything's okay. Stay safe out there. I want to bring in Catherine Cook in the newsroom now with the latest on Oregon's effort to convince a judge to push pause on the National Guard rollout. Catherine?
David, U.S. District Judge Karen Immerget said she would try to issue a ruling today, but said it could be tomorrow. Part of the reason for the delay, she was just assigned to this case last night after U.S. District Judge Michael H. Simon recused himself. Immerget said she's still catching up on the case reading after this morning's hearing.
Waiting for a ruling. After a 2-hour emergency hearing Friday morning, U.S. District Judge Karen Immerget considered arguments from the Trump administration and attorneys for the state of Oregon and city of Portland. The state is seeking a temporary restraining order to pause the president's deployment of federalized National Guard troops to Portland as the pending lawsuit plays out. Cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom since it was a federal hearing. Trump's attorneys argued that sending federalized troops to Portland is lawful, saying local police don't have control of the situation outside the ICE building. They claimed protesters have attacked federal agents and vandalized property. Meanwhile, an attorney for the state of Oregon argued that sending National Guard troops to Portland would be unlawful and unnecessary, calling the deployment something based on a fictional narrative. On Friday evening, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield urged Oregonians to not get swept up in fear or political drama while they wait for the judge's ruling.
No matter what the ruling is, it's important as a community that we come together, respect each other, and are peaceful as we're waiting for this process to resolve in our courts.
Governor Kotek issued her own statement tonight, urging patience as Oregon waits for the deployment ruling. She said, quote, "I ask that Oregonians who want to speak out about the recent actions do so peacefully and remain calm." David.
Yeah, so important to draw the line between peaceful protests and criminal activity as they do. Thanks, Catherine. By the way, today the White House press secretary also brought up potentially cutting federal funding to the Rose City. Take a listen.
The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. He has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy.
Well, on top of that, Caroline Levitt promised an immediate surge of ICE and Customs and Border Protection agents to the Rose City. Portland's mayor responding in part by saying, quote, "The federal government should be focusing on partnering with us to expand housing, create jobs, and bolster social services, not siphon vital funding from our economy during a government shutdown." Governor Tina Kotek adding, quote, "I will not be bullied." We'll keep you posted on all of this. All right, let's turn to your forecast now on what felt like a cooler and cloudier day. Celine Stevens is in for Matt with a first look at your weekend. Happy Friday, Celine.
Happy Friday, David. Yeah, we're looking at a pretty decent weekend. So once we get to Saturday, that's when we're going to see the rain, but we haven't seen it yet. And we're looking right now at the Rose City, 61 degrees. Those winds coming out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. Taking a look at our temperatures across the map, 59 in Troutdale, 57 in Aurora. Temperatures definitely cooling down a bit right now, looking at more 50s along the coast. But looking at our radar, no rain in the Portland area as of yet. The Dalles looks like they've seen some rain in the past hour or so. Also, of course, Washington already seeing that rainfall. But again, Portland staying dry, at least right now at 11 o'clock at night. That will change in the next couple of hours. Looking right here at our futurecast, we're going to see some of those showers in our area by 3:30 in the morning. Astoria already getting hit just a little bit after midnight. We're going to see those showers continue. We're looking at 7:30. It'll be pretty spotty, so there'll be brief, isolated showers, but we'll still see some rainfall nonetheless. Salem also getting hit a little bit. By 11 o'clock, things are already starting to push out just a bit. We're looking at 4:30. Looks like we could see the last of it around that time, and then after that, we're really going to be set up for a pretty nice Sunday. Temperatures are going to be rising by Sunday, so tomorrow it's 60s, and then once we get into Sunday, we should be seeing the 70s. We'll talk more about it in a bit.
Appreciate it, Celine. Thanks so much. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a driver is facing criminal charges after authorities say he hit a traffic control worker on I-84 in Northeast Portland. This is breaking news last night at 11. The victim was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver, authorities say, hit a barricade and was later arrested. Authorities say he is 20-year-old Gabriel Dortons, charged with assault, reckless driving, and reckless endangerment. A man whose arrest was brought on by a vigilante group has now pleaded guilty to 2 counts of online sexual corruption of a minor. Police say 34-year-old Charles Mellick believed he was talking with a 13-year-old girl online and then traveled to meet her. He was arrested in March and has been in jail since. And thousands of nurses and other healthcare professionals who work for Kaiser Permanente in the Portland Metro are about to hit the picket line. The workers' union says the strike will begin October 14th and will last no longer than 5 days. The current agreement expired at the end of last month, and union representatives say there has not been much progress in negotiations. The union represents roughly 4,000 workers, including nurses, lab employees, and other healthcare professionals like physical therapists.